Hello, and welcome to Nighttime Fables, a haven where stories come to life under the gentle hush of evening, guiding you toward a peaceful night's rest. Tonight, we bring you another calming tale, one crafted to ease your mind and invite a sense of tranquil calm. But first, let's take a few moments to prepare both body and mind for a restful sleep. Make yourself comfortable, and with each slow inhale and gentle exhale, feel the day's worries slowly melt away. It can be challenging to separate from the bustle of the day, especially as bedtime nears. Yet remember, the less we fret about falling asleep, the more our minds can let go of lingering tension. Let the gentle flow of your breathing soothe any concerns and allow tonight's story to guide you into a deep, restorative slumber. Now get cozy and let the soft glow of nighttime fables envelope you. Enjoy this story, and may it lead you into a serene and restful sleep. Within the heartwood of an ancient forest, where sunlight filters through leaves like stained glass and the air hums with unseen energies, lies a sanctuary. It is a place whispered of in travelers' tales, a verdant realm where myth breathes and wonders dwell. Let us venture past the ordinary into this enchanted domain. Here, deep within the embrace of whispering woods, amidst carpets of incandescent moss starred with violet asters and the intricate lace of emerald ferns, legendary beings pass their days. Their haven is a hidden garden, perfumed by blossoms unknown to the outer world and shaded by trees of impossible grandeur. Its threshold lies concealed, veiled by a colossal curtain of shimmering, rustling ivy. Beyond this living drapery, blades of grass, impossibly tall and lush, ascend from the moss-laden earth, weaving themselves into a secondary canopy, a green ceiling that renders the arched portal beneath almost invisible. A secrecy cherished by the garden's inhabitants. Yet, despite such meticulous concealment, the lure of legend proves strong. Intrepid souls, adventurers driven by rumor and curiosity, have occasionally slipped past the ivy shroud, having somehow circumvented the guardian stationed there. Enigma, the sentinel of the secret garden, possesses the serene head of a cat, the majestic folded wings of a falcon, and the powerful body and tail of a lion. Its immense eyes, golden brown pools holding almond pupils black as obsidian, observe the world. Though armed with formidable claws and teeth intended to deter intruders, Enigma harbors a soul averse to harm. Its placid demeanor and kind gaze belie the latent magic capable of erasing memories, of making a human forget their own name. Enigma is among the first chronicled in the forest's bestiary, a venerable leather-bound tome, with gilded script upon its cover, resting beneath a glass cloche on a stone plinth within the rose garden. This book meticulously catalogues the garden's denizens, their arrival, their unique talents, their designated roles. Enigma's entry confirms its duty. Guardian of the gate. Behind the cascading ivy, the archway itself is a marvel. Wreathed in delicate pink and white blooms shaped like tiny hearts. Forged from wrought iron into fantastical curls and spirals, the gate depicts a sylvan idyll. Rabbits, foxes, and deer cavorting amongst stylized vines and flowers, a frozen fairy tale in metal. While on duty, Enigma often adopts its preferred posture. Prone, belly flat against the cool moss, forelegs extended elegantly, hind legs tucked neatly at its sides. When tedium descends, as it frequently does, the guardian might meticulously groom a paw, indulge in a languid stretch, or drift into slumber, only to be nudged awake by one of the garden's diminutive caretakers. Are the moss folk of the secret garden. Though small in stature, their days are filled with significant labor. These miniature horticulturists, identifiable by their weathered complexions, flowing white beards, and distinctive conical caps, are the true custodians of this hidden paradise. They reside in a quaint hamlet just beyond the gate, a cluster of hollows nestled at the roots of towering evergreens, surrounded by meticulously tended oval flower beds. In their leisure hours, they engage in knitting robust sweaters and socks, using yarn spun from resilient bamboo grass. The moss folk toil diligently, ensuring the garden's perpetual bloom. This involves overseeing other mythical residents, some of whom feign industry while secretly idling. The glimmerlings, for instance, exhibit a pronounced inclination towards leisure over labor. These elfin creatures, dwelling in a nearby meadow where larkspur glows like scattered blue stars, might resemble fairies at a glance, but possess pointed ears and four diaphanous wings akin to dragonflies. Tasked as the garden's assessors, the glimmerlings are meant to hover over the meadow, minuscule clipboards in hand, evaluating the nectar quality for the garden's discerning bees. Frequently, however, duty is forsaken for the allure of wild blackberries, plump and dark, growing near the cherry blossom grove. This cherry blossom field is a realm of ephemeral pink, where countless petals drift from mature trees, blanketing the ground in a soft, fragrant tide. It is the cherished domain of Anya. In her true aspect, this cunning entity resembles a fox of exquisite grace, long, slender limbs, a delicately pointed muzzle, and a coat of purest white that seems to capture and refract the sunlight. Yet, Anya is a mistress of metamorphosis, often assuming other guises. Her occasional impersonation of a moss folk, much to the genuine annoyance of the actual little gardeners, is a favored prank. Anya ranks among the forest's most ancient inhabitants. Her kind accrues tales throughout their long lives, potentially reaching 9. Currently, she boasts 7, each a distinct shade of the rainbow, a vibrant testament to her venerable age, a subject she politely avoids. Her very essence, her life force and magic, resides within a smooth, round gemstone that emits a constant, warm, yellow luminescence. This precious stone, typically nestled within her most luxuriant tail, is guarded jealously. When she adopts another form, a panda perhaps, whose black and white fur complements it nicely, she wears the gem upon a white leather collar adorned with tiny gold stars. In her vulpine shape, she delights in whiling away hours beneath the cherry trees, grooming her immaculate fur as pink petals descend like silent, scented snow. 2 centaurs also grace the garden. They favor strolling through the cherry blossoms during the early morning hours, when dew jewels every leaf and petal. Brother and sister, Corbin and Elara, could scarcely be more different visually. Corbin stands a commanding 7 feet tall, possessing the glossy black mane of a stallion, sun-kissed olive skin, and thoughtful hazel eyes. Ilara, slightly shorter at 6 feet, has a fair complexion blooming with rosy cheeks and eyes the color of shallow sea water. Her mane is a cascade of platinum blonde, worn in a single thick braid that reaches her knees. Corbin and Ilara hold a vital, albeit infrequently exercised, responsibility. They are charged with quietly, discreetly escorting any unexpected visitors back towards the arched gate, where Enigma can gently cleanse their memories of the secret garden. They then observe as the bewildered guests depart through the ivy curtain. Though encounters are rare, they approach their duty with gravity, partly due to their strong friendship with the Moss folk. According to the Moss folk elders, intruders, particularly humans, represent a significant disruption. Humans, they lament, cause unintended chaos. They pluck unique golden flowers without considering the gentle ogres who meticulously prune them. They carelessly trample the vibrant beds of scarlet poppies and pink tulips cultivated by Grom, the garden's minotaur. Grom, a towering figure with the head of a bull, a long brown tail, and wielding a gleaming silver axe, invests years nurturing his floral charges and sighs with profound sorrow when his work is trod upon. The Moss folk find it perplexing that some of their mythical companions have human ancestry. Yet these creatures understand. They recognize that most humans are driven by curiosity, not malice. Still, some Moss folk quietly question whether the gentle Enigma remains the ideal gatekeeper. Perhaps Grom himself, they muse, would be a more effective deterrent. To deliberate such matters, the Moss folk convene a council of elders, occasionally gathering in a circular clearing amidst a field of daisies. On one such day, the question of Enigma and its role resurfaces. A Moss folk elder, whose pointed hat droops so low it conceals her eyes, argues that Enigma is no longer suited for guardianship. Her attire, a white dress, yellow belt, and green hat, perfectly mirrors the daisy field, prompting whispers about whether this chromatic harmony is intentional. She contends that humans have learned to exploit the Sphinx in nature, knowing their irresistible urge to pose riddles. A bargain is struck. Passage granted for a puzzle solved. However, the gnome presiding over the council offers a different perspective. Perhaps, he suggests, the solution lies not in replacing Enigma, but in arming it with more challenging riddles, true enigmas that would baffle even the cleverest human minds. But when the elder in white requests an example, the head gnome's brow furrows in concentration. Crafting rhymes sufficiently perplexing to thwart determined humans proves difficult. "Allow me," volunteers a gnome in a blue tunic and black hat, stroking his lengthy beard. "I wear an eye of darkest night. My locks are strands of golden light," he recites. "My roots grip firmly underground. I turn my face as sun wheels round." What am I? The assembled Moss folk shake their heads collectively. A sunflower, they chorus. The riddle is transparently simple. After thoughtful reflection, the Moss folk concede their expertise lies too deeply in horticulture, human ingenuity would likely unravel any riddle they devised. Best to leave enigma at the gate, concludes the head gnome. Ultimately, the Sphinx remains the most adept at managing human curiosity and, crucially, possesses the unique ability to induce forgetfulness when necessary. With the matter settled, the moss folk disperse, returning to their tree root homes or the beloved garden plots. When not luxuriating beneath the cherry blossoms, Anya fulfills her duties as the garden messenger, relaying the moss folk's directives to other inhabitants. Her first destination, the topiary garden, domain of Kaleido, who spends his days meticulously shaping dense green shrubs into fantastic forms. Kaleido is, arguably, the most gifted gardener of them all, a fact that might seem surprising given his composite nature. He possesses three distinct heads, one of a goat, one of a lion, and one of a serpent, each with its own strong opinions. Yet, the singular passion they unanimously share is gardening. When engaged in this art, the three heads operate in remarkable unison, their combined perspectives resulting in creations of breathtaking ingenuity. He cultivates towering boxwoods in varying shades of green, transforming them with pruners, shears, and immense loppers into whimsical sculptures. His repertoire seems limited only by imagination itself. From solitary bushes emerge pensive gargoyles, hunched contemplatively, fists propping chins. Broad hedges become parades of cheerful trolls, their sculpted hair standing on end in bushy exuberance. His living sculptures often honor fellow garden residents. One intricate piece depicts the colossal serpent, Coilus, whose task is to till the earth for new plantings, plowing acres with its formidable teeth. Kaleido renders his friend coiled in an eternal circle, mouth grasping tail. Adjacent stands a representation of Solara, the majestic phoenix, resplendent with scarlet and gold plumage and a flowing blue crest like a bridal train. Kaleido crafts the Solara topiary from a honeysuckle bush, its red, firecracker-shaped blooms and small golden bell-like flowers perfectly evoking the fiery bird's nature. A fitting choice, considering Solara's penchant for spontaneous combustion. Placing the phoenix beside the serpent is another deliberate decision, acknowledging the age-old rivalry between these two immortals. On the subject of eternal life, Coilus maintains there is room in the garden for only one symbol of perpetual rebirth, an endless cycle of beginning anew. Solara concurs, having risen from its own ashes countless times. However, the phoenix refuses to yield the title of preeminent immortal to the serpent, citing mythological seniority. The truth, however, is obscured by time. Their origins are lost narratives. According to Solara, the definitive proof vanished in flames. It once possessed an ancient papyrus scroll detailing its precise genesis, settling the question of precedence. Papyrus, that tea-stained material derived from the Nile reed, served many purposes, including paper making. When the Council of Elder Mossfolk convened to address the immortality dispute, they requested Solara produce this document. Crestfallen, The bird confessed it had inadvertently incinerated the scroll long ago during a heated argument with an Aquilian. This griffin, once a friend, had arrogantly declared itself the paramount mythical bird, exhausting Solara's final shred of patience. Unable to contain its inner fire, the phoenix erupted in flames, tragically consuming the vital scroll clutched in its talons. How? Solara had demanded of the council. Could an Aquilian possibly deem itself superior to a phoenix? Griffins, after all, are hybrids, part eagle, part lion, not purely avian creatures. Admittedly intelligent, a trait worn plainly on their eagle faces, and undeniably strong, with leonine bodies and sharp talons. But this does not constitute avian greatness, Solara had argued passionately. A phoenix embodies eternal life. What could surpass that? Perhaps a serpent that also embodies eternal life. The head gnome had gently interjected during the council meeting, gesturing towards Coilus, who had been silently encircling the assembly. And so, with its proof of origin reduced to ash by its own fiery nature, Solara reluctantly agreed to share the title of Premier Immortal with the serpent, contingent upon the council affirming the phoenix's superiority over the griffin. Agreed, declared the council of Mossfolk, and the matter was closed. As dusk settles, painting the sky in deepening shades, most creatures in the secret garden conclude their labors. The sun dips below the forest's edge, signaling repose. Yet, for two inhabitants, the workday is just commencing. Cryos, the frost giant, emerges from his shadow tavern as the celestial wall transforms into a black velvet canvas sprinkled with diamond dust stars. This colossal being is sculpted from dark blue eyes, faceted like a magnificent gemstone. Twin horns of pale blue eyes jut from his brow. His eyes glow with an inner coal light, and his beard is a cascade of glittering white icicles. He carries a massive gold and silver sledgehammer, often employed to clear land for new plantings. Cryos's lair resides within the garden's core, nestled in a modest mountain whose solitary peak just pierces the forest canopy. From this vantage point, he performs his duties as Senior Irrigation Specialist, a title he bears with immense pride. Standing atop the summit, the frost giant inhales deeply. Upon exhaling, a cool, mist-laden breath flows across the slumbering land. Billions of minuscule ice particles drift outwards, blanketing the topiary garden, the cherry blossom field, and flower beds bristling with lupins resembling blue corn stalks. Cryos's breath also dusts the intricate garden maze, its winding hedge paths navigable blindfolded by the centaurs, a favorite pastime of theirs. This nightly frost assists the morning dew, preserving soil moisture until sunrise warms the flora. Occasionally, however, his breath proves excessively cold, placing delicate flower and vegetable beds at risk of freezing solid. This is where the frost giant's loyal quadrupedal companion intervenes. Mastifun of the secret garden is a cheerful, three-headed, fire-breathing canine with kind blue eyes across all faces, a sleek grey coat, and a spiky dragon's tail. Once the formidable guardian of the underworld's gates, Mastifun now embodies his title as the garden's official warmer. Each night, He pads silently through the plantings, his multiple noses sniffing for sections, succumbing to the encroaching chill. Upon locating such an area, he lies down, curls his considerable form, and radiates a gentle, pervasive warmth. Plants, flowers, and groves within a significant radius revive, shaking off their icy torpor. On nights when his warming services aren't required, Mastiphone pays a visit to Enigma at the garden gate, treading softly so as not to disturb the sleeping mossfolk. A firm friendship has blossomed between Mastiphone and Enigma. Founded on the shared history of guardianship, the three-headed dog, after all, possesses millennia of security experience. The two friends converse quietly beneath the arched gate, the heart-shaped flowers above now silvered by moonlight. Enigma rests in its customary pose, forelegs outstretched, hind legs tucked. A new riddle forms in its mind. I sound like a place where roses and daisies might go to sleep, it murmurs, its voice a low rumble. It is not humans who count sheep here, but dandelions, daffodils, and mythical creatures like you and me. What am I? All three of Mastiphone's heads grin. A flower bed, he answers, warmth emanating not just from his body, but from his contented presence. As the two guardians talk late into the night, the secret garden beyond the gate slumbers peacefully beneath the vast, star-strewn sky. Within it, contented little moss folk are tucked snugly in their beds, dreaming of white lilies, murmuring streams, and companionable mythical creatures, resting under the gentle luminescence of a beautiful moon. Birdsong spills from cherry and apple boughs as Auguste Moreau, straw hat perched jauntily, pushes open his door. He steps into the morning air, stroking a long, silvered beard, his gaze sweeping across the close Normand, his sprawling tapestry of a garden. Dew clings like tiny jewels to the newly opened petals, a blush of pink, a whisper of violet, stark white, insistent red. A smile touches his lips, a quiet affirmation of this cultivated world. He stoops, retrieving a worn leather satchel and a slender wooden easel. Down the crunching gravel path he ambles, pausing before a vibrant chorus line of peonies. Squinting, Moreau appraises the pink blooms, the intricate density of their petals. Nearby, a honeybee hums its low thrumming song. The air, still carrying the night's coolness, gathers warmth with each passing second. Yes, he decides, this vista shall be today's pursuit. Moreau unfolds the collapsible easel, its tripod legs finding purchase on the grey pathway. Bending to the satchel, he unbuckles it, revealing brushes with neatly trimmed bristles, a wooden palette awaiting its chromatic destiny, and an array of oil paint tubes. 40 years since their advent, and still, the sheer convenience of paint in tubes fills him with a quiet thrill. This portability allows him swift communion with the outdoors, letting him squeeze vibrant ribbons directly onto canvas or blend hues upon his palette under the open sky. To paint outside, on plein air, the artists called it, had been Moreau's creed since his formative years. Hours he'd spent as a young man, eyes fixed on the shifting panorama of beaches and docks in his native Le Havre, nestled in France's Normandy region. He'd learned the ocean's chromatic vocabulary, how its colors transmuted with the day's progression or the weather's whim. Picture the aquamarine shimmer of high summer waves, or the ominous gunmetal grey heralding a squall. Recall the vast navy blanket of the sea at dusk, its profound blackness under a moonless sky. Moreau dedicated himself to chronicling these ephemeral shifts, these fleeting metamorphoses, sometimes capturing them directly on canvases set up right on the sand. He pursued the rendering of pure sensation, even christening one of his most renowned works Sensation Aurore back in 1872. When a Parisian critic later branded Moreau and his compatriots as mere impressionists, the label, intended as scorn, became a banner. Moreau and his circle, figures like Léon Dubois, Elodie Vidal, and Jules Marchand, embraced it. They were painters of impressions, chroniclers of the moment, day by fleeting day. Today, Moreau smiles again, drawing a deep, centering breath, absorbing the chosen scene. His mind drifts back to his first encounter with this land, the soil that would cradle his sanctuary. It was the early 1880s. Auguste Moreau sat aboard a train meandering west from Paris, traversing golden wheat fields worked by horse-drawn plows past half-timbered houses crowned with thatch. Roughly 50 miles from the capital, his gaze fell upon the hamlet of Giverny, cradled where the Epte and Seine rivers converged. Moreau, ever enthralled by light, watched sunbeams dance upon the river's ripples, reflecting upwards to cast an ethereal luminescence on the leaves of a nearby apple tree. In that instant, a profound recognition resonated within him. He had found his place. By 1883, Moreau had relocated his family to Giverny, securing a cottage and a tract of land he would patiently sculpt into a botanical haven. The modest cottage was gradually extended into one long structure, accommodating his growing family and studio space. He lavished color upon it, a feast for the eye. Pastel pink for the exterior walls, a vibrant green dressing, many shutters and window frames. Along the facade, Moreau trained climbing roses over a pergola spanning the building's length, while Virginia creeper traced patterns across the pale walls. In summer's height, then as now, the house seemed to dissolve into the surrounding verdure. Pink and green dominate the view, a harmonious blend. While the house pulsed with family life, it was the gardens encircling it that truly nourished the artist's spirit with joy and tranquility. Initially, the land around the Giverny cottage was simple farmland, open and unadorned. But Moreau envisioned a riot of color and texture, a living palette he could paint throughout the seasons. He planted accordingly. Poppies with petals like crimson tissue, rustling in spring breezes. Sunflowers craning their yellow and black faces towards the summer zenith. Black-eyed Susans clinging to the last golden afternoons of autumn before Normandy succumbed to winter's chill. Moreau, ever the artist, often selected plants for sheer visual impact, prioritizing beauty above convention. By the early 1890s, sufficient prosperity allowed him to purchase the Giverny homestead outright, along with its adjacent lands. He embarked on realizing the botanical paradise held captive in his imagination. Moreau dreamt of raised beds overflowing, celebrating nature's untamed exuberance. This vision stood in stark defiance of traditional French ornamental gardens. With their rigid lines and meticulous spacing, Moreau's garden would surge freely, an opulent tapestry woven from contrasting tones and textures. He juxtaposed humble blooms like sweet white and yellow daisies beside elegant Japanese apricot trees. Green metal trellises arched over a gravel walkway, offering ascent to cherished roses, the heady perfume already anticipated in his mind's nose. This garden, the Clos Normand, would become a magnetic force, drawing the artist day after day, just as it draws visitors now. Moreau would lose himself for hours tending his botanical charges, and when not tending, he was painting them. And now, on this sharp spring morning, his plants stand vibrant and content, refreshed by a gentle overnight shower. No tending is needed. It is time to paint. Before the alchemy of color begins on his wooden palette, Moreau must prepare the canvas's ground, an even, smooth foundation of light paint, typically lead white or a pale gray, applied across the entire surface. Oil paint possesses a subtle transparency. Colors laid upon this luminous ground radiate with greater intensity than they would on a dull, unprimed canvas. This intrinsic brightness became a signature of the Impressionist aesthetic. Their paintings seemed lit from within. After applying the thin white layer, Auguste turns his focus back to the peonies. He dissects their forms with his eyes. The curl of each leaf, the play of shadow within the bloom, the angle towards the sun, the woody grain of the stem. His observation is relentless. Unless pausing to cleanse a brush, his gaze returns to the flowers every few seconds. At last, he is ready. His first brush dips towards the waiting palette. For an artist of such profound experience, one might expect a palette awash in countless pigments. Not so. With a mere 9 proven colors at his disposal, Moreau possessed the mastery to conjure any conceivable shade, a testament to his deep grasp of chemistry, optics, and color theory that rendered his paintings unforgettable. This morning his eyes revisit the peonies in the Clos Normand. They stand regal in their pinkness, voluptuous, fragrant. Moreau smiles, swirling his brush in madder red, his preferred crimson, then incorporating a touch of lead white. The colors bleed together. He glances up again at the living flower. A soft sigh. Not quite right, but no matter. Another look confirms a subtle violet undertone in the real blooms. His eyes scan the palette, landing on a small pool of French ultramarine. A resonant blue. Swirl, 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 until the brush itself mirrors the complex beauty before him. Then, the quiet miracle unfolds. Upon the primed white canvas, Moreau draws the newly pigmented brush. Its bristles whisper across the textured surface. Each stroke is concise, each movement deliberate. Repetitive dabs coalesce, slowly resolving into something recognizable, a single petal belonging to a generous bloom. The process is unhurried, almost meditative. Moreau becomes aware of his breath synchronizing with the gentle rhythm of his hand. Dab, inhale, swipe, exhale. As minutes unfurl, Moreau varies the texture of his strokes, sometimes applying thicker impasto, sometimes thinning the paint elsewhere. The resulting surface is uneven, alive, compelling the viewer's eye to dance across it. Soon, little space will remain for visual rest. Every corner will pulse with color: brilliant chrome yellow where sunlight spills, rich emerald green in the tendrils of climbing roses, a complex blend of vermilion, cobalt blue, and lead white approximating the large petaled clematis. Small, strategically placed areas of contrast amplify the vibrancy. A fleck of green beside a red rose, a purple shadow beneath a golden sunflower. The core of this painting will emerge this morning, here in the Clos Normand. Moreau might refine it later in his studio, or perhaps declare it finished, one among many canvases born of swift confidence throughout his mature years. It's estimated that Auguste Moreau created over 2,000 paintings, drawings, and pastels, though the precise count remains elusive. He was known on occasion to destroy works he deemed flawed. Today's effort, however, feels successful. Moreau pauses, smiling, dabbing his damp forehead with a cotton handkerchief. He reaches down, his fingers brushing the velvety softness of a peony petal before gently hoisting the satchel to his shoulder. For now, a respite is due, a leisurely promenade through his domain. The wooden easel stays put. Moreau intends to return this afternoon to capture these same pink peonies bathed in the diminishing light of dusk. Plucking one of Normandy's famed apples from his satchel, he strolls down a path bisecting the Clos Normand, leading towards a small road. He takes a deep breath, allowing his pulse to slow, then bites into the crisp red fruit. Tart and sweet juices flood his senses. He savors the sensation, his gaze drifting across the road to his next destination. The sight transports him back years to the time he expanded his garden realm into something novel, ambitious, inspired. The Clos Normand, with its meticulous design for year-round visual splendor, had fueled his art for years. It was his immense delight, his private Eden. Yet a deeper yearning persisted. For more inspiration, more flowers, perhaps even another garden. Across the road, perhaps, a marshy patch lay there, neglected save for cattle seeking water. Once more, Moreau's fertile imagination ignited. He envisioned a floating garden upon that swampland, a pond brimming with aquatic flora. The seed of this idea likely sprouted from Moreau's deep affection for Japanese culture, a fascination widespread in Western Europe during the late 19th century. He had encountered Asian water gardens depicted in Japanese prints, which he collected almost as avidly as he gathered plants for the Clos Normand. Within years, his collection swelled to over 200 woodblock prints. A water garden offered the perfect synthesis of his passions: botany, culture, and inevitably, art. By 1893, Moreau had acquired the coveted parcel and commenced the demanding work of transforming marsh into water garden. By 1895, it already bore resemblance to the celebrated sanctuary he approaches today. Crossing the road, descending towards his Japanese water garden, he is greeted by lush weeping willows draping elegantly over a placid pond. Woody green bamboo stalks fringe the water's edge. Japanese maples, alongside Asian varieties of peonies and wisteria, contribute bursts of color. Here, Moreau masterfully wove together Asian aesthetics and Normandy's native charm. Most iconic were the two curved Japanese bridges he commissioned, their delicate arches cresting gracefully above the water. Deviating from tradition, where such bridges are typically painted red, Moreau chose a vibrant blue-green. This Japanese bridge itself would evolve into a recurring motif in his paintings, its curves rendered across all seasons and atmospheric moods. The blazing foliage of autumn, the ethereal mists of a cold winter morning. Yet, enchanting as the bridge was, another element of the water garden soon claimed precedence, not just in Moreau's consciousness, but within his artistic legacy: the water lilies. Standing now at the pond's margin, Moreau gazes down at the water surface, strewn with innumerable green lily pads. 10, 20, 30. Counting them is futile. Some cradle delicate purple blossoms. Occasionally, a small green frog rests upon one. These water lilies have become Moreau's singular obsession. He nurtures them devotedly, aided by a full-time gardener. He often declared to friends that his water garden, particularly the lilies, could transport him to sure ecstasy. It is a primary reason why now, and for the final 3 decades of his life, Moreau seldom strayed far from Giverny. He vastly preferred contemplating the water garden's shifting palette on a spring afternoon, or scrutinizing the pond's surface after a dusting of winter snow. He grew captivated not only by the mutable light, but by how the slightest breeze sent ripples across the pond's skin, dissolving the reflections of lilies into shimmering blurs of color and ambiguous form. Moreau, his eyes perpetually receptive, now observes as a brisk wind transforms the pond's blue depths into a pool of pale grey. A fallen leaf momentarily obscures the view of the pond floor, casting fleeting black shadows beneath it. Every season, every day, every instant held the potential for a new artistic insight, a fresh impression, demanding spontaneous capture. Small wonder then that he would ultimately produce over 250 canvases dedicated solely to the water lilies of his garden. These works, known collectively as the Nymphaeas, rank among the most treasured of all Moreau's creations. Viewing his paintings today, we might sometimes overlook their sheer scale, their resonant power, their intrinsic meaning. Yet they bequeathed a profound legacy upon an art world perhaps unprepared for such innovation. Impressionism nudged art closer to abstraction than ever before. It revolutionized concepts of how light, color, tone, and texture could be wielded, forging new pathways for expressing emotion and sensation within the physical medium of paint. Moreau's paintings are undeniably masterpieces, but his garden too can be regarded as a magnum opus. These cultivated spaces were, and remain, living works of art that birthed creations of their own, continuing to inspire artists even now. Today, however, Moreau's thoughts dwell far from artistic posterity. He is immersed in the present moment, enveloped by the gardens he so lovingly planted and will continue to lovingly paint. Even after all this time, the sheer beauty surrounding him can still steal his breath. As the day concludes, the sun dips behind the willows bordering the water garden. Moreau leans against the solid trunk of a tree he raised from a sapling. He absorbs the evening sounds, the cricket's insistent chirp, the frog's resonant croak. The moon, ascending softly, will soon mute the garden's daytime riot of color into subtle variations of blue, purple, and grey. Darkness approaches. He straightens, beginning his return journey across the Japanese bridge, up the road towards the Clos Normand, seeking repose. Moreau draws one final deep breath, inhaling the lingering perfume of the flowers embracing him. An owl hoots in the distance as he treads the gravel path once more, heading towards his house, pulling the green door closed behind him. He murmurs a silent goodnight to his beloved garden, his deepest wellspring of inspiration, secure in the knowledge that he will greet it again with the morning light.